Greg,
All
I
right,
just wish I could grow a beard like you one day. You know?
yeah. I mean, you get that, right? Of course. Who the are you?
Let me share on display.
But so you really getting to hang all this tech, babe?
Think so?
Yeah, babe. I mean, every week is like a new thing you trying out, Doug.
Building more attention for it. Self-awareness.
Ruth.
I want to deliver on this message so much. I would create a test or a drug that allowed people to become self-aware. One potion, not hustle, not smart. I don't fear being self-aware. I know I suck at a lot of stuff. I think everybody lies to themselves. Some people are meant to be B and C players. And I'm pissed that the narrative now is that you need to be a number one and have your company because a lot of people lose or leave money on the table because that's just the narrative. So I'm such a positive guy. I struggle to think about the things I'm bad at, but self-awareness requires understanding both and then choosing which path you want to go through. I'm a big fan of going all in on your strengths. It isn't only just betting on your strengths, it's accepting all your shortcomings. Let me tell you one thing. What works for me does not necessarily work for you. I think being at peace with yourself and your strengths is such an important part.
You got his book yet?
Because
Crushing it.
it's sexy and people want to be charismatic and on stage. So many of you do so many things better than I do. You can look at like how people roll and like it's great to admire and things of that nature, but it's so damn important to stick to like your DNA. Try to get to a place where you understand yourself and understand what your strengths are. You've got to find your self-awareness. All your shortcomings are there for a reason. They're there to also allow you to be great. Deep in your brain, deep in your heart, you actually accept all those shortcomings is the second your life goes on the offense. I worry that people don't tap into their strengths. You have to audit who you actually are because then you're not going to bullshit yourself. You're going to storytell yourself. You're going to motivate yourself. You're not going to. And once you believe that, either for yourself or someone else told you, go directly all chips, all into that. But we've all got something. And you just need to accept what's yours and go in on that. Then you've got a starting point to success. And its finest is accepting your shortcomings and accentuating your strengths. I'm an entrepreneur.
All right, and welcome back to the Entrepreneur to Entrepreneur Shift, the Culture Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the great Gary Vaynerchuk talking about something that's very important, especially when it comes to entrepreneurship. That is self-awareness, knowing your strengths and your weaknesses, and on your strengths, and not worrying too much about weaknesses. So we're going to get into that discussion today. How important is self-awareness? Knowing what it is you're good at, knowing what it is you're not good at. Joining me, we have the great Travis Miller, founder of Shift the Culture, and Travis Miller Webb. Welcome
Hey,
back.
Hey man, that's must see that blue moon, eh?
Yeah.
Back.
I had to look up, when you say you was coming on the show today, I had to look up to try and find that blue moon.
Man, you so petty, boy. You dead petty, boy.
Presents. Watch this jacket now.
Hey, thanks, eh? Thanks. Fine treads for the man with good taste.
That's
Shameless
it.
plug. After for recording, I'll show the Adam we start get sponsorship for the show.
Oh, you must be getting paid. Oh,
The
yeah.
no, baby, the weather been nice today, dog. Nice
Okay,
and
well,
windy.
hey, listen, if you say so, buddy. I also
Tell you what. But you sweat in AC, mate, Greg.
exactly. So maybe it's just me. But
Mm.
welcome for those that are tuned in on Facebook Live. Welcome. Feel free to comment. Like I said, we're going to be talking about self-awareness today. You can leave your comments. Let us know how what you feel about self-awareness. And for those that are on SoundCloud, beautiful faces, but this content is like if you don't get the opportunity to watch the video for the entire thing, SoundCloud.
Greg, you sound a little muffled. I don't know if they could hear it or if it's something I could just hear, but you sound a little,
Muffle.
yeah, a little muffled.
1 2 1 2. Mic check. Mic check. Let me see if I read.
It's like fading in and out.
Possibly the internet.
Mm.
So those that are watching, comment. Let me know if you can hear me fine. Let me know if you can hear me fine, so I can the audio and make sure that everything is good. Looking at the read. Yeah. Hold on, let me just try something really quick.
Mm.
1 2 1 2. That any better? You can hear me any better?
Yeah, you ain't paid enough. Yeah, that's wait. It's a good go
Better
again.
now?
Still in and out, but a little bit clearer.
Still in and out. Okay, I don't know. Well,
Hey,
hopefully,
just work with this. Work with this. I think it's
yeah.
good.
Hopefully, it's
All right.
just maybe the internet connection or something.
Yeah.
It seems to be reading all right on the computer. I don't know. So,
Okay.
hopefully
Good.
not
Yeah,
too
this way better. More consistent.
But yes, self-awareness, Travis. Tell us your thoughts on it. How important is self-awareness? How important is it to know what you are good at, what you're not good at, and how important is it to not bullskate yourself or delude yourself to that you are something that you are not.
But
Yeah.
it could make or break you, right? I mean, obviously it can make or break you. Like knowing, like just having that amount of extra data on yourself. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But I found left to your own devices, you will bullshit yourself. You need, I think the most important thing, along with having strengths and weaknesses, is having like that framework or those people around you to tell you when you bullshitted
Mm.
or not, or like have stuff in place to kind of keep you accountable on your BS,
Mm.
right? Like internally, you may know where you, hopefully, you may know where you have weaknesses. You probably recognize your strengths, but you at least for me, you try to focus more on your weaknesses than your strengths. It's almost like you have to remind yourself of your strengths because you always pay attention to like, okay, what could I be better at? What could I do better? Um, but having those things and not like constantly thinking about like not beating yourself up about it essentially, but knowing like, okay, this is this thing that I'm kind of weak in. I need to improve in. I think over time you'll start working on that and chipping on that, and you eventually get better. But you really, it's really hard to do that uh, by yourself. Like you could probably put it on paper, or you could always constantly work on it. But you still need someone to give you a different perspective, or even see a weakness that you may not think you have.
Right.
In that percent, what do you think? What do you feel?
Yeah, I agree. But it's also difficult to find honest people that are gonna keep it real with you. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's really important. Um, I, I'm pretty self-aware. I don't try to bullshit myself. I recognize the importance of being self-aware. And so I don't necessarily people to say, well, hey, this is the case or not the case. But I I, I, I pretty much do that myself because I'm hard on myself as it is. I'm a
Mm,
perfectionist.
mm,
So I hold myself accountable all the time, and I try to do it in every single situation. So, but I do understand how a lot of people do need that guidance or some people to keep them grounded because, like you say, left to your own devices, you can start to the mind starts to go places and try to convince you of things that are not necessarily true.
right.
And so I understand the importance of having people to remind you every now and again. But it is very important because I see people lying to themselves all day, every day, constantly lying to themselves. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Um, Parents say, Travis, it looked like you laying on the sand. Things good.
Yeah, yeah,
Laying
yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. I know what that is. Like, oh, today you must be. You look healthy. You look healthy. You're eating. You're eating good. Little
John
do.
Carrick says some people weakness is alcohol and drugs.
Oh, that's like yeah. That's like the low hanging fruit of weaknesses. I mean, especially if you are a type of person that like. Well, I take that to extent of yes, the actual weakness of alcoholism or drug abuse. Um, but
How do you feel about this? Terrence says, but you will still not see yourself as others see you. And
oh,
I
of
guess that's what
course.
you said.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, so that's okay. So that's and I'm trying to say this without it coming off ego. So I think one to what Terrence is saying, like imposter syndrome is a big thing for me, babe.
Explain what imposter syndrome is.
Imposter syndrome is basically thinking you're not as good as you are, or like think. Well, see again, that came up very egotistical. But I mean, like
Come on, egotistical.
obvious, yeah. So obvious, you might be good at a thing, but like you question yourself about, am I good at this thing, or am I this person who people probably think I am or don't think I am? And then you know, I mean, it could be people in the creative industry think imposter syndrome is kind of like a indicator of you're in the right place because you feel like you're not good enough. But again, those things when you left your own devices and you constantly think about those things, it's a fine line between knowing what you need to improve on and kind of beating yourself up about it, right? And then
So
even
how much
to, yeah, go ahead.
so how much should you focus on the things that you need to improve on? How much focus should you dedicate to your weaknesses?
That's a good question, but I don't. I mean, maybe it probably might not necessarily be a timeline to it, but once you figure, like for example, like let's say if I feel like I'm weak in a particular thing and I could find a book on it, right, to learn how to do this thing, or like say if it's like programming or something technical, say okay, I really don't know too much about that. Let me read a couple things, and you might get it after reading it, or if you're more hands-on, you feel like you might do it after like after doing it a few times. Like when I remember first like getting into the workforce, um, and when I started programming when I was young, like when I first started, I didn't feel like I could call myself a developer unless I so like the barometer I gave myself was like until I launched my first website, right? Or and then the standard keeps changing. Like you say, okay, I'm not a developer if I can't build this thing or do this thing. And then you kind of challenge yourself, and when you do those things, you don't necessarily say, "Oh, pat on the back, I'm a thing now." You kind of add that under your belt, and then eventually, over time, you get comfortable with saying, "Okay, I do this, so I guess I am a developer or whatever it is." That's how it is for me in most cases.
I would probably say it depends on what it is,
Mm,
and depends on how crucial that particular thing is to your success when it
mm,
comes to the amount of focus that you give to your weaknesses.
mm,
My thing is, you're not going to know what you're weak at until you actually give it a real effort. You
mm.
know, I think a lot of people just say that they're not good at certain things, um, just because they just don't think they are, and that and they never even tried it, or they
Right,
may have given it their full effort. And
right.
so, I think in order to discover what you are truly gifted at and not gifted at, you have to at least give it an honest try, not just
Yeah,
a
yeah, 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 yeah.
like really go in and try, and then really see if you are indeed good at it. And
Right.
then, depending on how important it is to you getting where you want to get, that I think you should determine how much time you spend on it by that.
Mm-hmm.
Because you may be weak in a certain area, but it may not be that significant, or you may be able to find somebody that you know is strong at it that you can trust to deal with
Right.
those aspects of it.
Right,
So,
someone to complement your strengths and
right.
kind of support what it is. Yeah, and like again with that too is like the feed. So if you if you do go that route and you attempt to try something to know if you good at it, is like those feedback systems are important too. So like you try it and it isn't too long of a reaction point for you to be like, okay, I'm good at this and I'm not good at this thing.
Mhm.
Like going to the gym, right? Like your barometer might be losing weight or like a pound or whatever like that. You may be getting fit, but if you focus on like the number of losing weight and say you don't necessarily lose a pound, you feel like you may not be getting anywhere, right? But then you got to ask yourself, okay, if the numbers matter, you see the pounds going on, okay, you know you're doing something. Or even if the pounds don't go on and you focus on like just feeling healthier or better, if you feeling healthier or better, be okay, you know it's good like this, but I was a little bit weak in this area. So you got to have that feedback to know what you constantly need to improve and focus on. Because if you don't have that feedback, you could kind of be shooting in the dark, or you may be working on something just like you said that may not be an actual weakness or something that you could focus on a little bit more.
Mhm. And
Yeah.
I think desire is important too, like how bad you truly want to do something.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I started messing around with like Photoshop and graphics and stuff a long time ago, and it was out of necessity
Mm.
because at the time when you don't have money to pay people to do certain things, you have
You
to
got to
learn.
learn.
And I found I'm pretty decent at it, like moderately. Like I'm not a super graphic designer, but I know what I want. I know what looks good, and I know how to achieve what I want for the most part.
Mm.
So I can get through it. So that wouldn't be I wouldn't consider that to be a weakness, but it's not a strength either. I
Right.
wouldn't say that. that is my strength, but I got myself to a competent level to where I could, do it to where it would contribute to where I'm trying to go or what I'm trying to achieve.
Right.
So you have to really dedicate time. Like I said, don't make your main focus your weaknesses. If anything, if you are fortunate enough to discover what it is you are truly good at, then let's focus on that, stick to that, give that most of your time. But you don't have to all of your time to it, because like I say, you could always dabble and dabble into other things, and who knows, you might discover that you gifted at something else.
Right.
So it's all about trying different things, and like I said, your desire to do it. If you have a strong desire to actually do it, then I would say stick with it. But if you feel like if it's not, if you're not motivated by it, if you're not inspired by it, if you don't want to do it, then just let somebody else or find somebody else that's better at it and let them do it.
Right.
And like I said, you're at that point where you don't have the funds to pay people to do things, and you have to do it yourself. You have to do what you have to do at that point. But let your main focus be your strengths. Don't let don't focus on your weaknesses more than your strengths. Let me see. Terrence says, when the outcome of your actions are different from what you were trying to achieve, then you want to find if it is a weakness.
You see what he was saying? Outcome of your actions are different from what you are trying to achieve, and you want to find it. So is he saying like your actions, like if it doesn't if the actions don't click, then it may be a weakness. If it doesn't click, it's connect. That's what you're trying to say.
I guess so, Terrence. We'll look for some clarification, Terrence. If you want to clarify what you meant by the last comment, let me read it. Let me see. Outcome are different from what you were trying to achieve, then you want to find out if it's okay. I guess if you set out to do a task and the outcome wasn't necessarily what you were hoping for or looking for, then you need to discover if that is a weakness. Because it's a weakness, because the result wasn't set out, then it may be a weakness.
I kind of see what you're saying right now, but that really depends on other people too. Like say for because it really might be you having to come at it from a different approach. And then let's say you have an outcome, right? And you tried the first time and it didn't come out the way you wanted to do. Like, okay, so if I if I attempted to cook something, right? And I wanted it to look exactly like I thinking, okay, if I do it this way, follow this recipe, it'll come out exactly how it look in the cookbook, right? 2 times out of 10, especially if you just started, it won't look like that, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean it's a weakness.
Right.
You might have to tweak your approach a little bit to get it closer to what that is. And even still, where you take it to that next level and innovating, because when you look at master chefs, they all came at it at a different approach, and then they eventually get to the point where they put their own fling on it and they kind of make that style their own. And then I guess over time or through practice, through that craftsmanship, it becomes their own version of that. So again, perfection or like that the outcome, whatever that is, still may be subjective, depending on who likes it and who the person is, I guess.
And I have a good story for that. I can tell a story that I told before too. But on that note, and that's why I said, don't just try it once, and if it don't turn out good, you be like, oh well, this is my weakness. I ain't good at it, right?
Right.
Because let me give you an example. The first time when I first started into dabbling into baking, right? Like I said, I never tell this.
We're getting exclusive. Exclusive.
So I bought I can't remember if it's the Betty Crocker or the Pills. One of those instant, those cookies that comes in the package, and you just have to like add a liquid or something and then put them in the oven.
Yeah.
So I bought one of those. I think it was a sugar cookie kind. Anyhow, some kind of cookie. I bought it. Travis, when I tell you, this was the ugliest set of cookies. And that's been aiming for ugly.
Ugly.
The ugliest set of cookies you could ever find in life. Like, they came out terrible in terms of the look. And had I just said, oh, well, I probably can't bake. This probably ain't my strength. You know what I mean? I'm not good at this because, I did this and look how these turned out.
Right.
And I would not have started the business that I'm currently sticking now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So don't just try it once, and because of that result didn't turn out the way you wanted to, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's your weakness or you are not good at it. Like I say, you have to really give it a real effort, consistent effort, a true effort, and over a period of time, like really give it a shot. And then after a certain amount of time, now I can't really put a time frame on it
Yeah,
or
because it's different for different people and effort
right.
and all that. So there's a lot of variables.
Because
Yeah,
some things you pick up faster than others. You
right.
know what I mean? So some things may take longer to actually get. It's also like also with music, when I started doing music and making beats, the first set of beats, you know what I mean, were
Yeah, yeah,
eh.
yeah, yeah. If you look at it now, but that's the thing about growth though, because probably when you made your first beat, you were so happy with that, and then you look back at it in retrospect and be like, oh, that wasn't the thing. But again, it's a good thing about like keeping track of all that stuff, so you could
Mhm,
see how far you come from that. But again,
mhm,
it kind of subscribes to the point you're saying, right? Like weakness. I think when people try something and let's say they subscribe it as a weakness because it didn't come out the right way, the weakness isn't something that's permanent. That's just something you could continually work on. I think the most problem with some with block most people is that they try it and then they quote unquote fail it, and then that becomes like, okay, so since I failed it this one time, this means
mhm,
I'll never be good at this particular thing, and they never give themselves the opportunity to try that. And that's also an important thing. That's also an important thing with like friends and people around your circle and community, because they'll not only critique it like the right way for you, like in order to give you honest feedback, but then they'll also say, okay, especially if they have the same interest in, oh, try it this way, or how about this perspective, and they kind of push you to say, do it one more time, essentially. You know what I mean?
mhm.
Yeah.
Like so example of weakness. Like I know I suck at multitasking, right? But I have recognized, I have now come to
Science says
grip.
we all do. Science says we all do. But yeah, I don't know if I believe it yet, but yeah.
Some people can multitask. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Well, better than I can. Let me put it
mm,
that way. They can do it better than I. And I recognize that. I say, listen, I suck at this. I just realize certain things I'm just not good at and not willing to try and get better at. It's not
mm.
that I'm gonna
And then being honest with yourself about that is a strength,
right.
because again, you'll get people lying to it and be like, okay, no, I mean, I could do this, let me try, and like, yeah, yeah.
Speaking of that, I actually saw an experiment with multitasking,
Mm.
and people were trying to convince them, "Oh, I'm a great multitasker." You know what I mean? Until they actually put them through the scientific test,
Right, right, right.
horribly. Like they thought they would have done a lot better than they actually did. So
Mm.
that was them lying to themselves and trying to make themselves believe that they were actually better at something than they actually are. And you
Mm.
have to test yourself. You know what I mean? You have to try yourself. You
Yeah,
can't sit in the room and do things. Oh, I'm great. Put yourself to the test to really see how good you truly are.
knowledge.
Let me see if we got any more here. All right.
You got any more?
Oh, no more comments. All right. So, how can one get better at being self-aware, Travis? A great question. How do we be self-aware? How do we know? How can we do
Right?
it? You wish
Because
you could.
it's different for a lot of people, but I think like me, like I just find myself asking a lot of. I think when I ask a lot of questions and like ask or try to find out like how, like things that interest me, like how it works. I think a thing for me is like making comparisons shred. I feel like if I can make it, and I think I got that from programming, because like programming, like you, just the whole concept of a variable, like you may say, like, okay, so a cat has four legs, and a dog has four legs, right? That's something that connects them, right? And I think I asked my questions of why, and that, I mean, I don't do this with all cats and dogs, for like, why is this different? Why is this similar? I think I asked that for a lot of things, because let's say if I write a program and it has a potential, like a output or a function, but they have those variables that could change, and you start looking at a lot of things, like you try to question a lot of things, like how this is similar, how this is different. And I think you really, once you, and I find I do that a lot with myself in terms of asking my questions. Okay, so why am I so interested in this? And then I look back on what I've done in the past, or like, okay, I see this person says they do this thing, how are they different from me? And I think I keep asking my questions as a barometer for myself to a lot of things that I experience, or how is it similar to that? And I think that questions, but questions at the end of the day, questions. I think you got to ask yourself a lot of questions. You got to be curious. I
Yeah.
think that's the basis of like self awareness. I don't. What's your perspective?
Well, let me read this comment first. Holly says, Hans Zimmer says, give yourself permission to fail.
Yep.
And Dito was asking, what's the topic? I'm talking about self awareness, Dito. My view on it is you have to be honest, you have to be confident, you have to have a
Again,
good self esteem,
mm,
because that can cause you the mind to go all over the place. You have low self-esteem. That starts a whole different set of issues. But if you
right.
have a great deal of self-esteem, then you won't see a lot of people lie to themselves because they want to
But
portray. They want to
okay.
put what? What, do you disagree or something? What's
No, I'll
happening?
let you finish. Though. It could
Okay,
go
I'm
anyway.
just
Yeah.
saying why I brought in confidence and self-esteem into
Yeah.
the equation is because a lot of people tend to lie to themselves or portray certain things that are not true
Mm,
because they have that void, like it makes them feel better, even if it isn't true. They try to convince themselves that it is because of that hole or that low self-esteem that they may have in a certain area. So they
mm,
have to try and create these narratives that make them feel better about it.
mm.
So that's why I said a degree of self-esteem and confidence is important to having self-awareness because you won't care what other people think. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Just honest and
In that case, then like an inward confidence, like
yes, yes,
you could do it because even on that one could argue that they're kind of faking it till they make it, right? They exude the confidence out front, and that's why I feel like a lot of them could kind of get away with it because they portray themselves as someone confident to do that. But I think when you have that, when you and again that grows too. But when you have that inward confidence that you know you could do it, like you put enough effort in something where you know it by like the back of your hand, and you know you confident in this one thing. That's something you don't have to like oversell. You know what I mean? You know it. And I think when you have more and more of that confidence, then you could have a lot of that self awareness and knowing "No, I could like it's a little bit faster instead of like say when you take on a new project. Let's say you somebody wants you to build to bake 1,000 cookies for like a batch, right? And you think, okay, I built 20, I built 30, I made 20, 30, 40. I haven't made 1,000. So you have that little iffy confidence on that, right? But like once you do it that one time, and then let's say you make 1,000 cookies once, and then you do it like 2 or 3 more times, no one can take that away from you, and you have that locked down, and you have that confidence.
hmm. And Holly
Yeah,
says, as an entrepreneur, you must be study of self. I completely agree.
yeah.
But like,
It don't end, but it doesn't. It don't ever. That's one thing you could learn something else. Or you may transition between different industries or try different things. But like, if you always gotta question yourself, or you always do. It may be automatic, but like you gotta study you, but like
but
yeah.
but I meant the self-esteem and confidence issue. Even if you like, because you said, you just have to be confident in yourself to know that you could do that, know that you could do this, or you know what I mean. But I mean,
Yeah,
you need to be confident to know that you can do certain things and be okay with
true.
that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah,
listen, I ain't gonna be LeBron. I can't play ball. Like,
yeah. Mm,
be okay with that. Like, that's fine.
right.
I think that's something that people struggle with is not accepting that. Listen, there are some things that you are just not going to be good at. I mean, you could get to a certain level, but you will not be the best or elite at some things. There will
Mm,
always be certain people that will be better at certain things than you are, and you have to come to grips with that and be okay with that. Like, that's fine. I think that's a hard thing that people struggle with. They're not okay with
yeah.
when that they're not good at something, someone else is better than them at something else.
Mm,
Like, that's a struggle I think people have.
I can see that.
Do you find yourself with that struggle?
Uh, no, not. I won't say ever. I just haven't come. I haven't like got that rival moment, right? Like head to head with a particular person, and be like, damn, I know this person does this. Not like in my industry at least.
Mm.
And I can't really recall anybody off the top. because I've never been in those environments like that. I don't know if you have. Have you?
Probably early
Yeah.
on, when I was a lot
Mm.
younger, because I
Mm.
wasn't always self-aware. This wasn't something like I was born with and had my whole life. No,
Yeah.
this is something recent, especially.
Mm.
Uh, I don't know if it's just getting older. You just tend to care a lot less.
Yeah, or I mean, maybe as time goes on and you like actually you get to where you want to be, and the circles start getting closer, you may find yourself with like that rival person that you might go against, right? And then even then that might be like a challenge, and then you might get to that point like where you'd be like, okay, I'm definitely not better than this person. Like, so the reference, I don't know if you ever watched Burnt with Bradley Cooper, where
No,
he was
no,
like a
no.
chef. But basically, it's about like a chef trying to get a three Michelin star thing, um, and then throughout the movie, he gets introduced to this dude, or I guess who he went to school with, who essentially was his rival. But then Bradley, who's the main person in it, he had a breakdown. He kind of just like fell apart, right? Like in shambles. And then he eventually went to this dude who kind of took care of him because he was sloppy drunk and all that stuff like that. But then he admitted to him because they've been in this rivalry for years. It's like, "Boy, okay, you want to hear it? You're better than me," type of thing, right? Like he told him, Bradley Cooper was like, "Okay, you're better than me." And a lot of people don't get to that point, but a lot of people don't have that humility to
Right.
recognize that, you
Yeah.
know?
And
Um, yeah,
that's key to self-awareness, humility.
yeah.
Yeah, that's key. Like you said, that's something that I think it develops over time. We're not expecting people to just get that.
No, it ain't out of the box.
Right. That's
It ain't out of the box.
life experiences. You know what I mean? Growth,
Mm.
maturity, um, helps you to develop that level of humility. And
Mm.
being in certain circumstances, also, you know what I mean. Some people have to go through certain things in order to, be humble. You know what I mean?
Yep.
A
Yep.
lot of life experiences. So it's not something. It's not a pill you can take. It's not an injection. Yet, you know what I mean? Self awareness is a
It may be
constant.
a pill. It may be a hard pill to swallow. That humility. It may be in the form of a pill for sure.
But I mean, you can't get self awareness by injection or ingestion. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It
Yeah.
takes a lot of time, takes a lot of development, it takes a lot of life experiences to develop self awareness, and people develop it at different times. Some people
Yep.
never, and some people do quickly. Some people take a while. It differs person to person, but it's going to take a lot of experiences for you to develop a healthy level of self awareness. But
Mm.
it not only in entrepreneurship, but in life, but especially in entrepreneurship, because it could be to the detriment of whatever business or businesses you're building. You not being self-aware can be the very cause of the destruction of those businesses. So it's very important. I think it's
Preach,
something
babe.
you
Preach, babe.
need to develop to have a successful life. Self-awareness is on that note, let's wrap it up, Travis. We've been in more than 30 minutes. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you,
Always.
babe. Appreciate it. Very good conversation.
Yes, sir. Thank
Very
you, guys.
dope.
And thank you, Holly and Terrence, all the guys, Dino, that were commenting throughout the show. We appreciate it. Be sure to share the video, please. Go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We upload the videos to YouTube.
What? We have YouTube now?
Yeah, man, a little while now.
What?
Well, so all the episodes, well, most of the video episodes are
The
up
video
on,
episodes, yeah, yeah.
yeah, up on YouTube. So go ahead and subscribe. Just search for
Oh,
it.
shout out to the I make a quick shout out to the oh Greg, and we got to talk about
Yes,
next week. Yeah, next
yes,
week.
yes, yes.
Um, but
Please.
shout out to the 10th year seniors. They hit episode 100 for
Oh,
their podcast.
big
That's
ups.
crazy, but yeah, babe. We got 19 left, dog. We got 19 left.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
we
We almost there.
but Greg, you want to talk about what's happening next week with the
Yes.
podcast? What's going
Yeah,
on? What's
thank you,
happening?
Travis. See my
Yeah.
head so I know my head bad and I forget easy. That's being self-aware. Thank you, Travis. Listen, next week we will not be doing the show on Thursday. It won't be Thursday at 4:30. We'll have a special show next week at 1 p.m. and it's going to be on Friday. Sorry, Saturday. Saturday. See,
It's Friday. It's the 16th, right?
Friday.
I think that's Friday. Yeah, babe.
Hold on, I'm looking at the.
Double check.
Maybe she
I don't
sent
mind.
me. Ah,
Because what's
okay.
today? Unless the schedule changed. I think it's Friday.
Yes, that's correct. Friday
Okay.
at 1 p.m. Friday at 1 p.m. So actually, we'd like to see you guys come out.
The live
We
Q&A.
Yeah, so we're gonna have a live Q&A, and we love interacting with you guys. So please come out. Let me give you the venue. It is at
Hillside
Transform
out.
is at Hillside House. Travis, you know where that is?
It's like when you going down Cumberland Street. It's on the left hand side of Todius Roberts' studio. So like, is you going down the hill? It'll be on the right hand side before you go all the way down where Dunkin' Donuts is on the left. So it'll be on the right. That's Hillside House. So they'll have the podcast there at 1:00, and then STC would also be doing like a entrepreneurship workshop at 6. So thank you to the good people at UB Visual Arts for allowing us to come to the event, along with Hillside House Transforming Spaces, for a very dope, creative
Yes.
um, gathering of the minds.
Yes, most definitely, and that's big ups to Keisha Oliver, who's
Yes.
show a few times. She's putting this whole thing together. It's an entire weekend of panels and different events, and like I said, we'll be on the list. Well, on the lineup. Sorry, on the lineup. Friday at 1 p.m. Please come out. Historic Nassau Transforming Spaces at Hillside House, March 16th at 1 p.m. and at 6 p.m. will be the Shift the Culture Creative Entrepreneur Panel discussion. So please come out for both events, 1 p.m. and 6 p.m. on Friday. We hope to see you guys in person. Would love to meet you, have conversations with you, answer your questions. Maybe we may have some questions for you guys also. So please come on out. So next Friday will be the podcast. We'll be doing it live. We'll be recording it live. So if you can make it, come out. If not, you can tune in on Facebook Live as you usually do, and you could still contribute that way. But like I said, we love to see you in person. So please come out. Please support. And we'll wrap up the way we do every show with losers make excuses.
Winners make adjustments.
Buddy, stop making excuses. Make them adjustments. Go out there, get it, and develop a healthy self-awareness in order to develop a healthy and prosperous life. Thank you, Mr. Miller, once again. And
Peace.
see you guys.
Next week.
Peace.
Bye.